President Trump was asked if he warned Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu not to attack Iran. Here's what he said.
Well, I'd like to be honest. Yes, I did. Next question, please. It's not a warning. I said I don't think it's appropriate.
What exactly did you tell him?
I just said I don't think it's appropriate. We're having very good discussions with him, and I said I don't think it's appropriate right now. Because if we can settle it with a very strong document, very strong, with inspections and no trust. I don't trust anybody. I don't trust anybody. So no trust. I want it very strong where we can go in with inspectors. We can take whatever we want.
All right. Retired four-star General Jack Keane joining us this morning. General, why is the president apparently holding Netanyahu back?
Well, he's using the potential strike by Netanyahu as leverage. And the fact that he was so straightforward about it, I think the president sees that as an incentive for the Iranians to cut the deal. So I think he's obviously has made statements to this effect that if you don't let us dismantle your stuff, in other words, your nuclear enterprise, we're going to have to forcibly do it, through airstrikes. And here he is in the Oval Office admitting that he's holding Prime Minister Netanyahu back to see if the Iranians are going to cut a deal that makes some sense. And what is that deal again? For our audience to understand, they have to give up the enriched uranium they have, which is some 5 to 7 tons of it. But then they have to give up the capability to ever enrich any more. And that means advanced centrifuges and the facilities where we do that at. And that has to be dismantled, those facilities. And that's what the president was talking about. And then the other thing is, because the Iranians have always kept the UN inspectors away from certain sites for years. We need anywhere, anytime inspections. In other words, the inspectors go where we want to go, and we go when we want to go, not when Iran thinks it's suitable or not where Iran thinks it's suitable. That all has to be off the table, or we don't have anything. Why is that? Because the president has said it. He doesn't trust them. He knows they cheat, and he knows they still want a nuclear weapon, and if they can do it by cheating, that's what they'll be about while they agree to this deal. That's what the Obama administration agreed to, and why President Trump pulled out of it, because it was such a flawed deal. So I don't see this as a problem. I think he's using Netanyahu as leverage here to force the Iranians into a deal that makes sense to us. It may not make a lot of sense to the Iranians because they still want to pursue a nuclear weapon.
Can you ever see the day coming when Iran would accept a cast iron situation where they cannot enrich uranium? They've got to give up all their nuclear equipment. Can you see the day coming when they will do that, and we will be allowed to inspect everything?
I've always been pessimistic about that. Yeah. I think the Iranians from the outset, they used negotiations to stall. The Israelis took down their air defense systems. They're trying to rapidly, over these several months, that was last April, over these several months, they've been trying to recover, from that. So, yes, I have great doubts that they would agree to actually dismantle their entire nuclear enterprise and also their ballistic missile systems to deliver them. And I know if we can get the initial nuclear aspect of this, I know the administration wants to go further and curb Iran's behavior. And what are we talking about here? State-sponsored terrorism and their malign behavior in supporting proxies in the region. In other words, you just take Iran off the map completely as a threat to the region. That is where the administration wants to go as a goal. Whether we can get there or not, remains to be seen.
President Trump is once again warning Putin to end the war in Ukraine. Watch this, General.
Do you still believe that Putin actually wants to end the war?
I can't tell you that. We're going to find out whether or not he's tapping us along or not. And if he is, we'll respond a little bit differently, but it'll take about a week and a half, 2 weeks. I can say this, that I'm very disappointed at what happened a couple of nights now where people were killed in the middle of what you would call a negotiation. I'm very disappointed by that, very, very disappointed.
General, I've only got 30 seconds left, I'm afraid, but these talks seem to be going nowhere. What do you say?
Yeah, I don't think Putin is interested in ending this war. I mean, his presidency is riding on it in terms of the fact that here he is 39 months into it, and he still only has about 20% of Ukraine, and he wanted to topple the whole country. He still wants to pursue that. He cannot accept failure here. So I don't believe that's why he's not going to a peace negotiations or a ceasefire anytime soon. We're going to have to get tough with him.
General Jack Keane, always a pleasure. Thanks for being with us today, sir. We'll see you again real soon. Thank you.